So something we've been talking about is almost a hierarchy of needs when it comes to getting your overs in so that we don't double up effectively. Because especially if we're coming back from injury, we might be sort of doing some bowling conditioning sessions and then net sessions, and suddenly you got games. But if we don't drop some of the other two, then we could be struggling. We need to understand exactly what you need to really help push your game forward the most and help your body, of course, because without the body, we're not going to play. So, what me and Charlie are going to talk about here is how we almost distribute the overs and then how we can play around with them a little bit. So, what we're going to say, and this is just an arbitrary figure of having 30 overs per week and what we'd do with that. Okay, so Charlie, you want to break it down here?
Yeah, 30 overs per week. That's generally how many you get through. Some weeks it might be slightly more than that, but in this example. So I think the first thing you need to look at is what you've got coming up in a game, okay, and work back from there. So in this example, we know that in this given week, we've got two T20 matches. We've got a maximum of 4 overs to bowl in each of those games. So that's going to be 8 of those overs are going to be used up in a match. So that leaves us 22 left to utilize within training. Okay, so again, breaking that down, if I had 22 overs, I'd probably be looking to get through 12 or so in training across kind of 2 days at some point. So I'd look to do 6 overs versus a batter. I'm not thinking or worrying about my technique. There, I'm literally in competitive mode. Okay, so I'm looking to get the batter out. I'm trying to get as close as possible to, probably in this scenario, what it's going to be like bowling in the match in a T20. So 6 of those overs are going to be utilised against the batter. That would then leave 6 overs on another day, or to break your training session up. You can do it how you want. You might do you could do 3 overs against a batter and then 3 overs of technical on one day, and then repeat that twice to get your 12 overs. But the technical overs are basically bowling at a cone. So it might be looking to execute my Yorker. So batter's not in picture. It might be looking to hit the top of off stump. It might be looking to bowl some off cuts and stuff.
The really important thing here is, like Charlie said, is to be malleable with it, because you could have a situation where you got a coach who wants you to do that twice. So what you can do in that situation is go, okay, so you want me to go against the batter? Fine. Let me do 4 overs against the batter, and then let me do 2 technical overs, both sessions. Okay? Or even a 5 and a 1. A give and take. Because, it might be the fact you just do 2 lots of 6 against the batter if you're feeling good. So that's the really big thing here is, if you can, if you've not got control of what you do, if the coach is telling you what to do, it is to try and really use the overs as much as you can and think, right, how much can I do? What do I need to do for myself against the other side? I mean, Charlie's bowled so much with that, so you know exactly what you need.
Yeah, and it all comes down, for example, in this example, we've got 2 T20 games, so we know we've got 8 overs in a match max this week. Or some, you might not have 2 T20 games. You might actually be bowling 20 or 25, in which case these numbers drop. So it always depends on how much you're going to get through in a week, really, in the game, and then work back from there. But they say these technical overs, you can chop and change them up. This is the figure we need to keep an eye on. Okay, so how many overs total are we bowling within this week in our training? And then again, as Judy said, you can do 2 technical and more against the batter. But it's important just to split those up as and when, or however you wish. And then that leaves you in this example. So we've used up 20. The conditioning overs, Judy, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So conditioning is like we do the bowling conditioning sessions where we're doing drills with the bowling. Okay. Now, that's obviously when we're coming back from rehab or early season, it is really important. But we also need to think, okay, again, hierarchy of needs. Sometimes you're almost getting rushed back into game mode. And if that's the case, it might be that suddenly you've played 2 50-over games and we've done 20 overs here. And then we're ahead of schedule in terms of we're not ideal. Like, we've done a full preseason and we know, right, Charlie's good to go. You can get your 30 over game overs in, and then we can drop this and we don't need to do it. But it might be 20 overs there. And then we're thinking, right, we need to be smart. So what does your body need right now? Is it this, or actually is it this? Do we need to combine this? So it could be a fact that, we drop this out completely, and we're just focused on the conditioning to make sure the body's in a position that we can accomplish this. Because, make no bones about it, we're here for this. We're not here as a training club. Let's all do nice bits of training. No, that's a means to an end. We have to be doing this. So then everything we do here is manipulated to, right, how do we get back here? So sometimes it can be a case where, okay, we need to fight a fire now for the rest of the week. And we had it with senior players a lot of times. Right, what can we do to make sure a 38-year-old fast bowler is ready to go for the next game? It would be that, right, coaches, you piss off, leave him to us to almost take that car into the garage and do what we need to do to say, right, game day, go and do it again, then we'll bring you back in. So that's when it can change. Ultimately, you might be like Charlie was most of his career, body's working well, is in great nick. We wouldn't have to worry about that. So we can drop that right down. And say he's played 250 over, in some weeks we were playing 3 or 4 50 over when the competition was hot. It'd then be, right, what do you need here? And then Charlie might come and say, well, I'm not quite getting my Yorker in there, my variations. So then it might be none the batter, and he's bowled 20 or even 30 there, and just wants to bowl 5 there. Okay, so we've got 30 game day, and he's doing 5 technical, conditioning none. But can you see how it suddenly gets out of hand if you do 30 there, and then you're suddenly doing 15 there and 10 there because we haven't adjusted? Suddenly we're smacking on, what's that, 50 overs? 55 overs. Boom. Okay. So that's why it's so important. We understand where you're at. We understand this hierarchy of needs and understand that this always is the most important. But what configuration of these two do we need to help with that? Okay. Because like we said, Charlie, how many times did you bowl 100% pain-free and feeling great?
Very rarely.
Very rarely. Okay. So everything we're doing is trying to help that, but we're very rarely going to be that. But we need to be ready for the game. That's the key. Okay. So hopefully that's made sense. It's all just numbers. And I talk about turntable or mix index when you've got so many different sort of levers to pull. You just have to know which ones to pull when. Like I said, it might be you're doing 30 overs game, none of the rest. You could be 10-10-10. You could be 25-5. In the first stage of rehab, if we're in T20 competition, they could just be doing one lot of 4 overs. I remember lots of times with second team game, we had a bowler coming back and we just need time in his legs. So that in the second team, he'd bowl one lot of 4 overs in the first innings, one lot of 4 overs in the second innings. That's a hell of a lot of time on your feet and not really bowling, but it would get us up to the level where we need to get to. And then during the winter, when it's more that, if we're doing 2 times bowling conditioning sessions, we're covering 12 to 14 overs a week. So if we're chronically like that, we're never going to get a massive spike when we get to the season, because that's always the big issue. Suddenly a big spike, body's like all over the shop, especially if we're going from that to that to that. That's why we always want to work up. So we're there, right, now we're going to go there. How does that look? Is it technical? Normally it was. With the pros, we'd be doing some technical work after Christmas, then it would be more against a batter. And then if we were lucky enough to go away, then we were there.
Yep.
So that's the way it goes up. But then once we've got all that, we've got our ingredients, what level do we want to put in to make the whole thing work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just to jump on, it's fundamental about having a plan. You know, if you've got to plan your overs, you've got to know top level how many overs you're trying to get through in a week, and work it out and be diligent in tracking it. You know, if you've got a plan in place, then you can say put a configuration and work stuff out. If you haven't and you're just not really clocking stuff, then you know we're never going to really know where we're at, either with how many overs we bowl in a match, how many we're getting through in training, and you know what our conditioning overs have been like. So
Yeah.
that's what it fundamentally comes down to, I think.
And ask. Ask. Always ask. That's what we're here for. So hopefully that all makes sense. Speak soon.